The streets of Atlanta are humming with one question, and the internet is on fire right now. Is Rasheeda indeed expecting a child? And is it driving Kirk Frost insane? Every fan page, every gossip blog, and every area of the reality TV industry is being torn apart by this story. There are numerous reports that Rasheeda is pregnant, but Kirk is not the father. Yes, you heard correctly. This shocking revelation has completely upended their entire business. After years of conflict, adultery, rumors, and attempts at reconciliation. That isn't even the most insane though. According to some people close to the couple, Kirk lost it when he learned. We're talking about yelling, broken glass, neighbors phoning security, and the kind of breakdown you never recover from. The altercation between them is said to have been so violent that video from inside their house has already surfaced, and it's worse than anyone could have predicted. Already, social media is in disarray. A few fans claim that Kirk's karma has finally arrived. Some people are sobbing because Rasheeda wouldn't do that. Additionally, unidentified insiders are whispering deep in the rumor trenches that the real father may be someone too close to home. Kirk trusted this person. Is this just another excessively romantic and hip-hop plot? Or has their idyllic world been utterly destroyed? We're delving deeply into the most bizarre turn in Kirk and Rasheeda's tale to date tonight. You're going to hear every leaked message, every purported confession, and every startling reality the network doesn't want you to know, from the initial rumor to the full-fledged conflict that ensued. Because there is more to this than just a controversy. One of the most well-known couples on reality TV could be permanently destroyed by this bomb. It's going to become messy, so stay indoors. There was peace, or at least the appearance of it, prior to the mayhem, the leaks, and the world yelling, Rasheeda's pregnant and Kirk's not the father. All of this was meant to be behind Kirk and Rasheeda Frost. They had endured years of public humiliation, heartache, and scandal. They were the pair that persevered through it all. Fans had witnessed them repeatedly break apart and rebuild, from Rasheeda's times of bravery and stillness to Kirk's notorious cheating scandals. However, insiders claim that the strain had been quietly, dangerously, and covertly building for months behind the filters and the flawlessly manufactured Instagram smiles. It began tiny. Cold dinners, brief responses, missed calls, and distinct vehicles departing from the same events. It wasn't only distance. According to many who knew them, disconnection was the cause. They were no longer even fighting. They were just done. Like two people living parallel lives, an insider murmured. Rasheeda, the queen of cool composure, began to exhibit signs of weakness. Her social media messages turned into cryptic remarks about healing, peace, and knowing when to let go. Fans saw it but ignored it. She had previously posted similar content, just prior to forgiving Kirk for a significant transgression. Nobody anticipated that this time would be different, but it was, since Kirk was partying once more while Rasheeda was writing about self-love. This included late nights, studio sessions, and early morning business meetings. His phone, which had been stuck to his side, was now on tables face down. Additionally, Rasheeda stopped checking. She had had enough of being a detective. She was too silent. The first rumor then surfaced, a small blind item on a gossip website that stated, a certain reality TV woman known for forgiving her man's adultery may be having her own private affair. It hardly caused a stir at first. There is a lot of phony tea on the internet. However, fans eventually made the connection. Infidelity, a hidden affair, and a reality TV wife. They were certain of the person it was alluding to. However, nothing could be proven until Rasheeda failed to show up for a public function that Kirk and she were both supposed to attend one evening. Kirk appeared by himself, silent, grinning for the cameras, but obviously agitated. "Where's Rasheeda?" yelled the paparazzi, but he dismissed them. "She's at home resting," but fans noticed the jaw twitch, the forced smile, and the tiny expression. There was a problem. Then an unconfirmed medical document appeared online a week after. Nobody believed it at first. The name was there in clear, big letters, but it was hazy, fuzzy, and most likely phony. Buckner, Rasheeda, and a single word that ignites social media next to it. Expecting a child. Fans lost their minds. Speculation erupted in Twitter threads. She's pregnant. Oh, my goodness. Hold on. Kirk didn't share anything. Why would they keep it a secret? People initially thought they were keeping the pregnancy a secret, perhaps holding off on making the announcement till the appropriate moment. Celebrity couples, after all, are always in charge of their story. However, a second message appeared, allegedly from an insider. She is indeed pregnant, but the results of the DNA test were negative. The father is not Kirk. The internet exploded with that one line. Kirk supposedly learned about it on social media, just like everyone else. Imagine discovering that everyone believes your wife is carrying a child from another man as you wake up and grab your phone. Within hours, Kirk proceeded from bewilderment to denial to outright rage, according to close friends of the couple. He believed it to be a hoax. According to one version, he contacted Rasheeda, her assistant, and even her doctor, but nobody answered. The leaked information was then supplied to him by someone. Everything inside of him broke at that point. Prior to the secret baby, Kirk Frost experienced public scandals. The arguments on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the accusations of infidelity. However, this was not the same. This has nothing to do with his errors. The finger was aimed at her this time. Because Rasheeda was always the one who stayed, the one who extended forgiveness, the one who grinned despite humiliation and said, "We're working on it." The betrayal struck more. Fans were unable to comprehend when the narrative changed and she was portrayed as the cheater because she was the rock and the stable one. She is very devoted. There's no way she'd do Kirk like that, a fan said, but other fans, devoted to a man who made her look bad for years, retaliated. Perhaps she finally lost it. The split happened instantly. Team Kirk versus Team Rasheeda. The Frost home was disintegrating behind closed doors as the rest of the world quarreled. Sources claim that Kirk was pacing wildly when he returned home that evening. Calm as ever, Rasheeda gave him nothing but quiet in response to his demands for explanations. Witnesses claim that he was driven over the brink by that quiet. The ensuing altercation would go down in hip-hop and love history. According to insiders, the situation was unstable. Doors banging, glass breaking, shouting. It was more than a brawl. According to one source, it was the culmination of years of suffering. After the dust had settled, Rasheeda uttered the words that altered everything. "You are not the father of my unborn child." Kirk Frost, the man who had weathered every scandal, finally lost it at that point. Anger building to an uncontrollable level, he stormed out. Later that evening, cameras recorded him yelling into his shirt as it was half-tucked. Phone in the middle of the road. "You lied to me," he yelled. His voice was unpolished. In a matter of minutes, the video went viral. At that point, the leak began to occur. The voice notes, the hotel video, the hidden lover. However, the world was still unaware that this was more than simply a scandal. It was more than just a marriage. It was a plot and a betrayal. Due to the fact that Rasheeda was rumored to be seeing, and he wasn't just anybody. He was a familiar face. This was not going to be just another rumor on reality TV once his name was revealed. A conflict was inevitable. The narrative erupted, not just exploded. The names of Kirk and Rasheeda went from trending to burning overnight. Everyone was conversing. From Instagram lives to gossip podcasts, from barber shops to Twitter spaces. This was the sole narrative that had an impact. And in the middle of it all was a man who had recently discovered that his world might be a lie. Kirk didn't believe a thing when the pregnancy rumors initially surfaced. He was positive that someone was attempting to ruin them once more, after everything they had endured and Rasheeda's forgiveness. At first, he dismissed it until the evidence was presented. The medical leak was one thing, but when the purported DNA findings appeared online with his name listed as excluded under paternity, Kirk snapped. His phone began to beep constantly when he was in the middle of a meeting at his restaurant, Frost Bistro. It started off as texts from friends. "Are you okay, bro? Is that accurate?" The screenshots followed. Kirk froze. He looked at the same line repeatedly after scrolling once and again. Not the biological father, but Kirk DeFrost. He was silent for a whole minute, according to witnesses, and then he abruptly slammed his phone down so forcefully that the table shook. He stood up and whispered, "This is Bulls asterisk, asterisk, asterisk." Rasheeda didn't even raise her head. "I have no idea what you're discussing." That one sentence was like a slap to him. "You're not sure?" He lost his temper. Dante acted foolishly. "You understand exactly what I mean, Rasheeda." With a groan, she threw her phone away. "Kirk, I'm not doing this with you at this time." At that point, everything fell apart. He reached for her phone, snatched it from the couch, and threw it to the ground. It broke into fragments. You're too busy to do this." His voice reverberated throughout the house as he yelled. Then, "Who the hell's baby is it, you know?" Rasheeda remained motionless for a moment. With an unwavering posture and icy eyes, she simply gazed at him. "I have a pregnancy. All you have to know is that. I'm not the father either." Kirk's voice broke. A smile that was somewhere between a sigh and a grin formed on Rasheeda's lips. "I guess not." Inside of him, those two words exploded. Later, witnesses claimed to have heard furniture shattering from outside the house. Glass broke and magazines flew as Kirk kicked over the coffee table. He made a hole in the plasterboard by punching the wall. "You lied to me," he yelled. Rasheeda refused to back down. "After everything I did for you, this is how you repay me." "Everything you did for me," she retorted. "You want to speak about betrayal? You mean cheating on me in front of millions of people on national television? Don't start something you can't finish, Kirk." For a second, none of them tell me who he is. Rasheeda turned away and grabbed her handbag. "I don't owe you that." "The hell you don't?" he said, seizing her wrist. "You're not walking out until you tell me." "Let me go, Kirk." A huge smash reverberated throughout the home as she cried and attempted to pull away, causing a brief but fierce struggle that resulted in a lamp falling and a chair toppling. A few seconds later, the front door burst wide, and security rushed in, pushing Kirk back as he yelled, "Rasheeda, you better be honest with me." His voice was raw, his chest heaving, but Rasheeda only stared at him with glass-like eyes, saying, "They'll find out soon enough." Without saying anything more, she turned and went upstairs, leaving him standing there devastated, angry, and humiliated. However, it wasn't over. Hours later, the internet went down once more. "I never meant for things to happen like this," Rasheeda said quietly in a shaky video labeled Rasheeda's Secret Hotel Confession, which appeared online. Rasheeda was seen sitting in a dimly lit hotel room with her face half obscured. Then a man's voice was heard off camera. Rasheeda shook her head, saying, "Not yet." "Does he know?" "He's been acting strangely though, and I believe he has a suspicion." The camera moved just enough to capture the outline of a man leaning against the wall, his face half shadowed. Fans froze the frame, zoomed in, and the internet erupted with theories. "That's him. I swear that's his friend," a fan tweeted, because even in the dim light, people thought they recognized him, a recognizable jawline, a chain that had been seen in innumerable pictures, someone close to Kirk. When Kirk saw the video, his blood froze. He repeatedly replayed it, picking up on new details each time, such as the stance, the voice, and the watch that glinted in the dark. His friend Kirk's breathing became shallow, his hands trembled, and he threw his phone against the dashboard, screaming into the night. No way, but it was true. However, he knew deep down that the man in that video wasn't just anybody. He was someone Kirk had trusted, someone who had been in his house, around his family, laughing at his table. The world had just witnessed the ultimate betrayal. And that was the first twist, the moment the scandal went from personal to nuclear, because it was now about revenge, rather than just betrayal. The man who broke Kirk Frost's heart wasn't just the father of Rasheeda's unborn child. He was the one man Kirk never thought he'd have to fight. And Kirk Frost had officially gone insane. Atlanta didn't wake up the morning after the video leaked. Every blog, radio show, and talk segment was blaring the same headline. Rasheeda's secret lover revealed Kirk's explosive reaction, and there were clips of the leaked hotel footage everywhere. TikTok users slowed down the video frame by frame, zooming in on the man's hazy outline and comparing it to pictures of every guy Rasheeda had ever been seen with. But then one picture went viral that left the entire fan base in shock. Because that chain, that voice, and that laugh belonged to someone they all knew, Ace, Kirk's closest friend and longtime business partner. The man who had attended Kirk and Rasheeda's wedding. The man who had shared drinks with them. The man who had managed Kirk's ventures. And the betrayal was too crazy to believe. By noon, hashtags were trending. Rasheeda fans were divided over the exposure of hashtag Ace Snake and hashtag Kirk deserves better. Some called it karma, while others said it was a fake stunt gone wrong. However, those who had been following Kirk on social media noticed something unsettling. Paige had disappeared. At that point, insiders started leaking that Kirk had disappeared. In the meantime, Rasheeda remained silent, didn't post, didn't go live, didn't even show up at her store, and pressed ATL. Her silence spoke louder than any denial, and fans started camping outside the boutique. He had turned off his phone, left his businesses unattended, and was allegedly on a mission. Rumor had it that he was driving around Atlanta looking for Ace, refusing to speak to anyone until he got face to face with the man who destroyed his marriage, waiting for her to show up, but she never did. Later that evening, an insider dropped another bombshell. A second video, this time from Kirk's own home rather than a hotel room. Security footage purportedly from the night of their altercation had been anonymously sent to a gossip page, showing Rasheeda sitting and Kirk pacing, shouting, and hurling something across the living room, calmly on the couch, saying nothing. Then came the moment that sent shockwaves across the internet once more. Kirk collapsed into a chair, covered his face, and whispered something that was barely audible, but devastating. "She was supposed to be my forever." That one line instantly transformed him from villain to victim. The man who had previously been accused of cheating was now being humanized. Fans wrote, "He's broken. He finally understands how she felt after all these years." But just when the public began to support Kirk, a new leak appeared that completely changed the narrative. Screenshots of private direct messages between Rasheeda and Ace appeared, revealing that their affair began months before the pregnancy and that Kirk had been warned. One of Rasheeda's messages said, "If he keeps playing me, I'm done protecting him." "And Ace, you owe him nothing," he retorted. "Allow his own shame to drown him." Within minutes, the hashtag let him drown went viral. Fans were shocked by the tone. Some described Rasheeda as heartless, while others claimed she was regaining control. In the midst of it all, a new notion surfaced. What if Rasheeda's pregnancy wasn't an accident at all? The TiVo, a gossip site, was informed by an anonymous insider that Rasheeda had planned to expose Kirk after years of humiliation. The insider claimed that Rasheeda didn't cheat for fun. Rather, she wanted to flip the script and make him feel what she felt. However, this is where things get murky. According to court documents that were leaked, Kirk had already filed for legal separation weeks before the scandal became public. Fans started making connections, realizing that this whole exploding pregnancy may have been the last step in a protracted, calculated act of retaliation. That evening, Kirk made a reappearance on Instagram Live, his voice and eyes red. He didn't give names, but his message was very clear. When someone betrays you like that, it doesn't break you, it changes you. Keep in mind